What is up, guys? Gonna do a quick video here because obviously I do not go to work today. I'm on my 10 days in a row off, so it's super sick. But we had a really good talk yesterday. Really big props to Nightcaps and Nostalgia for having an absolutely just classic stream. Just well done. You guys are very entertaining, very funny, and talk about a lot of really good gaming topics. I mean, the two gel so well together. That really reminded me of sometimes of those old school streams that were just so good, you know. So it was really awesome. I mean, I stayed up late as hell to watch them because of how good it was. Yeah, so they came up with a question. They said, hey, what should Dan talk about on What's Really Hood? It became a subject. He asked Justin, and Justin said basically it was really tough to see where he was going at with the exact question, but basically his problem was that, you know, basically retro games, we're in a retro game community, so modern games get kind of shit on when it comes to our community. And a lot of times people, he had talked to Google. Google is a channel, and Googs was saying that basically, you know, retro was basically just better in every single way. And he wanted to know my thoughts on that because he was like, you know, sort of offended by that because he said some of the games he's ever played were actually modern. And I've talked about this on the channel before in What's Really Hood. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I like a lot of modern games as well. I don't spend as much time on modern, but I don't, that's not because there's a problem with modern whatsoever. Some of the best games I've ever played are modern as well. Games like Cuphead, games like Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, those are fantastic. And especially one of the games I just got done playing, and that's RoboCop Rogue City. I mean, that game is freaking awesome. I mean, very cool. I think the reason that a lot of people like retro so much is, I will say, one thing I noticed about Justin is how passionate you were about the story and the characters and the character build-up. It was almost like you were more into like movies and TV shows and the character build, where retro pretty much gives you a little bit of a story and then it just throws it right at you and you just get dropped in and you go. And they were comparing it to games like Battletoads, where Nate's going for a no-death run of that. And he was basically saying, you know, that game's great too, but how there's just nothing there. And it's like, well, yeah, back in the day, you'd read the instruction manual and there'd be a little bit of a story, and then, yes, you just drop right in. But yeah, there wasn't really any character build or anything like that in these old games. Not very many of them. And I think that's why a lot of people like that. Some people hate in retro games how there's so much talking, dialogue, and there's just so much to it, like almost like you have to stop your life just to play a game, you know? And the amount of time it takes to beat it, too. Like, a lot of times retro games are about an hour or two long. Even the RPGs are 5 to 6 hours most times, if you know what you're doing. And in new games, you know, people complain so much to these developers that they feel like they need to make a game that's 100 hours long, otherwise it's not very good. That seems to be the standard. You know, if you want to make a game that's game of the year, it better be up over 100 hours. It can't be a game like Cuphead that you can beat in, you know, a couple hours. You know, people don't like that. They think that's a waste of money, which is a whole other conversation, and I don't agree with whatsoever. So, I mean, people have a hard time paying, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks for a retro game, even though you could play it for hours and hours and hours and it's really good, you know, versus a new game they'll go out and pay 60, 70 bucks no problem for, and that game might not even be that good, you know? So there's things like that. But I love modern games. I don't spend as much time with them. I think we just got done talking about, am I going to play Alien Isolation? I'm definitely pretty soon going to play Terminator Resistance. I mean, that game is going to be fucking awesome. I know it is. But I'll always have a love for retro, and a lot of times, though, I go back to retro also because it's just very nostalgic, and it's games that I used to rent or games that I never got a chance to play, and I want to go back and I want to beat them, and I want to play them, and I want to see what they're all about. And truth is, when we were kids, we only had access to so many games, so, you missed them. You missed them, and you want to go back and you want to play them, and then it's kind of become a thing of building a collection as well. It's really cool to have all those games that, hell, I mean, if you would have seen a room like I have now when I was a kid, we would have went fucking apeshit. I have more games than a rental store, But, that's just very nostalgic stuff. That's why we do it, I think. That's why I do it. I guess I'm speaking for myself. But modern games, I love those too. And if I spent a lot of time with them, I'd play a whole bunch of them. I mean, there's a whole bunch of great games. I would definitely sit down and play through Spider-Man. It's just I don't have really time to do it. I also do play the modern games like Zelda. I played through Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So I do play that stuff. I played Mario Wonder. There is definitely new games that I play as well. I mean, when the new Contra comes out, I'll play it. I played Contra Road Corps when it came out. I play a lot of the retro throwback modern games, like Blazing Chrome and games like that, Super Cyborg. So I definitely enjoy modern games as well. When the new GTA comes out, I'm very pumped for that. If there was anything related to the Red Dead Redemption franchise, I would definitely play that as well. So I definitely don't hate on the modern stuff. A lot of times I don't stream that stuff. Even with sports games, I'm starting to give it a chance. I love the new WWE games. I'm buying them every year. And I just got done playing Madden a whole bunch, too, when it came out. So I don't know if I'll buy Madden next year or not. I mean, probably. So I definitely have love for new stuff as well. And I totally get what you mean. I guess, Justin, the easiest way to deal with our community is you need to understand that you're like in a retro game community. Most of the people that come to watch you are modern retro gamers, so I'm sorry, they're all retro gamers that come to watch you. They don't really play modern games. You do have some people in there that play like Dark Souls and things like that, but I would say the majority that's coming through your guys' channel, and you guys hang out a lot with Gaming Off the Grid and people like that, I mean, those are pretty much retro gamers, so that's why you're getting that kind of backlash for that. And I don't know how they feel on the matter, but I love modern games as well. I mean, they're very good. Modern gamers have lots of things to play. But there's really fucking good retro games too. I mean, retro games, I think Justin's not as, open to retro games, and I would challenge you to definitely dive into some retro games. And there's some really, really good stuff, man, that maybe you're missing out on because, well, you play a lot of modern, a lot of modern gamers that are our age and a little bit younger than us. Early 30s or even late 20s. I mean, there's a lot of good retro games too. So retro games are just fun and they're challenging. And I think that's another thing with modern games that a lot of retro gamers do not like is I'm talking a majority here, most modern games are way more holding your hand and checkpoints very often and save points all the time, telling you exactly where to go, giving you tips on what to use and what to do and this and that. And I think that might be sometimes things that turn retro gamers off as well, is sometimes things are a little bit too easy. And there's some tough games out there, but I'm talking in majority. When you play a lot of the Resident Evils, when you play the Last of Us and the Grand Theft Autos and stuff, it's just a lot of, even some of those racing games and things, a lot of things seem to be like everybody beats it. And that's one thing that's different about retro is not everybody beats these games. And I think that there's something to be said about that. I think that's what people really like, is that you have to actually get through the games and learn them a lot and put the hours in so that you can master them and beat them, and so, yeah, at the same time, there's retro gamers that never beat anything and they never get through anything and they dabble in everything. So it's kind of all across the board. But I think when you're approaching somebody that you were talking to like Googs, maybe Google just felt like, modern games to him are just too in-depth. He's a guy that wants action now. He doesn't want a half an hour opening scene and tutorials where you have to learn everything before you're even playing the game. Where a retro game, you turn that sucker on, you're going, dude. A lot of people get turned off by the updates, dude, and the first the modern games and how they have to have that first day patch and everything too, man. I mean, you get home from work or whatever, you just bought a game and you have to wait sometimes 45 minutes to play your fucking game before it installs, gets in there, does updates and all that bullshit, and where retro games, you freaking pop it in, you play it and you're good. You're literally going in less than 5 minutes, so there's that too. I think sometimes too in modern games, I said this about like the Midway sports games and stuff and NFL Street and NBA Jam and stuff. Sometimes modern games add too many controls to where you can do too many things. Where I think sometimes the most fun things are very simple controls, and mastering the game is tough to do, but we all have the same simple controls, but there's things about the game you can learn to be a little bit better than the other person, Like an NBA Jam, there's things that you can do, even though the controls are so simple. It's very highly competitive, though, because there's just certain things you can do to make it easier. Like, make sure you push people and stuff like that. Make sure you're shooting the 3-ball. Try to take a 3-ball whenever you can, and just things like that. Where it's not all about just going for these huge dunks and stuff like that, and what team to pick and this and that. So. I think that's something else that people really like about retro games is how simple the controls are. It's go, 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 go. Where modern's always trying to do too much. Even in something like Blitz and stuff when they came out with it, you're doing too much though. Blitz got big by just being super simple. It's pick up and play. But there's certain plays and there's certain things you can do to make you better than the next guy. NHL Hits is another great example of that. If you add too much to it and it's too much like real NHL, well, then it's not really hits anymore. You want that craziness game where it's kind of close every time, And so I think a lot of times modern games try to do that too. I noticed that with like the wrestling games. Here Comes the Pain is so simple to pick up and play. 2K, it's simple, but you do have to learn it. You're going to have to do like 5 or 6 matches to really know what you're doing. Where Here Comes the Pain, you can play one fucking match and know what you're doing. You get WrestleMania 2000, WCW Revenge. One match, you can know what you're doing. One match. And it's very simple to pick it up and have a chance. But it's hard to master, though. There's a big difference between a great player, though, at Here Comes the Pain, and somebody who really knows what they're doing and put a ton of time into it, versus 2K, somebody who plays for their first time has fucking no chance. You know what I mean? Like, until they sit down and they play the game for a whole night, they have no chance against somebody who's playing the game regularly. No chance. They're just going to get whooped, So I think that's kind of what it is, though, dude. And, I got mad love for modern, though. I just don't have all the time in the world. I still want to play my retro games, and that's where I'm at with it. It's just you only have so much time, and my time usually goes to retro, but I love me some modern games as well. But definitely put some stuff down there that you guys think about the differences between the two, and I'll talk to you guys. If I don't talk to you anymore, have a good Christmas. Have a good one!